maybe back here tomorrow. So
Okay.
we can put, these are just a few of the texts we'll be using.
There's one right here.
Can I tell them?
Yeah, these come to and from class every day, okay? So Duncan and or someone, whatever books we bring, take them back.
I'll wait till we talk about the Abhidhamma,
Okay,
and then I'll do my Vanna White
okay,
impersonation.
all right. You ready, Kara?
The
All right.
video with online people is over here, so that's why sometimes we'll be looking over here.
Okay, greetings everybody out there
It's
in,
so cute when you wave back.
greetings to Europe, Germany, Italy, greetings to Calgary, Vancouver, Japan. What's the bottom right?
Toronto.
Toronto. Who's in Toronto?
Iris.
Iris, of course. Okay, and of course, not forgetting Marysville, right in the middle. Iris.
Marysville or Whitefish, we're not sure.
Or was it Whitefish or Marysville? Somewhere.
Whitefish for a few days.
Whitefish.
Would be Marysville.
All right.
Whitefish, okay.
Awareness,
America.
compassion,
Compassion,
wisdom,
wisdom,
strength, abundance,
Abundance, joy,
Humor.
humor.
All right, so
Can't
this
see the humor with the masks on. See it
We
in the
have-
eyes, right?
this is a first. This is the first time we've ever done what would be a live retreat online.
Yeah.
So a word to those practicing at home that you might have to be a little bit more diligent than you would here, because of course here you don't have all that nice art and books and kitchen utensils and Netflix waiting at your beck and call. So for those of you working at home, you're going to have to be a little bit sharper with your discipline, because it's very easy to drift off into repainting the kitchen when you're supposed to be meditating, right?
Repainting the kitchen, yeah. Or reorganizing your stamp collection.
Or
right?
reorganizing your stamp collection. All right, so this will be a very short class tonight. This is just kind of by way of introduction. And we'll see everybody back here. And good job, Europe. I think it must be 1 a.m. or something there, isn't it?
Mhm.
So good, 3 a.m.
What?
4 a.m, 3 a.m. So good job keeping your eyes open. Congratulations. Anyway, this will be a fairly short class, and we'll see you all back here at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time tomorrow morning, which hopefully is now better for Europe and not maybe so great for Japan. So everybody has their duties. And by the way, it's been recorded, and the recording will be up for 48 hours in case you just didn't make it through the alarm clocks.
That's right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm really glad you could join us. Sensei is really a tremendous, in my humble opinion, is a tremendous insight master. And so I think I've been beseeching you for quite some time to do more insight retreats. And so I'm so glad he agreed, and I'm so glad that everybody could be here to benefit from his experience and teachings and insight. You did 3 3-month-long retreats?
5.
5. Mostly insight?
1 Zen, 1 Mahamudra, 3 insight, and 1 Demchog.
Okay.
And the one
that's
that
6.
Yeah.
That's 6.
Oh, 6 then.
Zen, Mahamudra,
Is it? 6.
Demchog, and 3 insight, did you say?
Or maybe it was 2 insight. Anyway, whatever. What's that? 6 times 3, 18, year and a half, plus or minus. Anyway, carrying on.
Ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's said that the Buddha taught in what were called 3 baskets. It's interesting how we can kind of sense the nature of the culture at the time. So he taught in 3 groupings, which are called Pitaka baskets. So the first one is the Sutta Pitaka. That's the basket of suttas or sutras or teachings.
Sutta means thread. So in English, English is an Indo-European language. So thread, where do you see thread in English and sutta come together? Suture. So when they say suture, that's where it's coming from. It's coming from sutta, the thread of things. When we
Suit.
talk,
Suit.
and suits,
Suitable.
suitable. And in Tantra, Tantra means weaving. So it's a warp and a woof. Weft.
So the Sutta Pitaka gets divided further into 3 groups: the short suttas, the middle suttas, and the longer suttas.
Yeah, I think the longer ones are called the Digha Nikaya and the middle ones are called the Majjhima Nikaya, which means long and short, or medium. I don't know what the short ones are called.
So the Sutta Pitaka, the second grouping is please.
By the way, the Buddha taught for 40 years, and everything was memorized in those days. He memorized it. He repeated it 3 times, so he memorized it. So the professionals had memorized everything the Buddha ever said. So after the Buddha died, they wanted to put everything he said together, and they got everybody together who had memorized everything he had said in 40 years, right? Basically his teachings. And so Jesus taught for 3 years. So compare the body of knowledge or the body of experience that was being shared. You know, Jesus is sharing maybe a lifetime of experience, but he's got 3 years to do it. Buddha is sharing a lifetime experience, and he's got 40 years to do it. So the amount of teaching in Dharma is huge. I think Mohammed had, I don't know, 5, 10 years. So you see the depth of the knowledge that's being shared.
I guess that's also the difference between 12 apostles and 16 arhats,
Yeah.
right? 16 fully awakened beings as your followers.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second basket is the Vinaya Pitaka. And the Vinaya is the body of rules and regulations.
It's also the stories of the monks and nuns. It's personal stories of awakening from monks and nuns, or people who awaken, not always monks and nuns, but often, and the rules of the order.
For example,
Well, how many rules do you think there
wear
were?
slippers in the kitchen, right? This is where we would find these kinds of things.
Wear a mask when you have a cold or COVID or
Social
anti-COVID.
distancing. So 227 rules for monks, bhikkhus, and 311 rules for bhikkhunis. It really
That's
is
because-
intriguing, isn't it?
That's because girls get up to more trouble than guys. Yeah, you wonder. Anyway,
I can't decide if I really need to find out what those extra 90 rules are, or if I definitely don't want to know what those extra 90 rules are.
I think it'd be quite interesting to know what the different 90 rules are. However, having remembered that, that's basically the rules are for you in order to focus your attention and focus your actions and focus your behavior in ways that you're not running around getting into trouble, like over relationships, for example.
Could you give some examples, please?
Well, one of the rules is that if a monk is sleeping and a nun sits on him and causes him to have an orgasm, he has not committed an offense. It's in the books.
Is that what you mean when you say it's the story of monks and nuns' lives?
No,
Is
no,
that you
no,
kind of
that's
get a
no,
window on,
No, that's a
like,
rule.
oh, they had to make a
No,
rule.
they're separate. stories of the monks' lives would be Joe was a baker and he meditated and became an awakened being and then taught or something, right? So there are rules about sex. There's rules about property. Yeah, you can't pick up something on the ground unless it's been expressly given to you. That would be considered taking that which is not given. That would be a property rule. A conduct rule
Does
is
baklava follow under that?
everything. If you're a monk, everything.
Yeah.
If you're a monk, you don't touch anything that isn't handed to you. Like, so if
and,
if nobody gives you any food, you don't eat.
and yeah, this is very literal. Like when you go to monasteries and convents, they'll have their arms by their sides. And when we gave dana to Sayadaw, he did not
Touch it.
accept it. His attendant came, we kind of handed it to him, and his attendant came in and took it.
What he did do is he just touched it as a blessing. Just received.
Yeah, that was very interesting to see. It was very clear that they had a formal protocol around what they handled.
Anyway, the basic premise here is what is it that helps foster your practice? What is it that helps foster keeping your attention on what you're doing? So for instance, if you're a surgeon in an operating theater, you don't answer your phone. Or if somebody has they broke their fingernail or something and they go, ow, the surgeon doesn't go, oh, what's wrong, right? He's got an operation in front of him. So the whole point is to focus your attention. And all those rules, by the way, got reduced to one in the Mahayana.
What's the one?
Compassion. Okay,
Right, why motivation is so important.
yeah, motivation key.
Okay, so the third basket is the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Abhidhamma basket, the science of mind. And this basket consists of 7 books or 7 texts.
It's not
And
here.
these are some of the ones that we're using here.
Ah, I see, okay.
Okay, so Path of Purification, Volume 1. Path of Purification, Volume 2. Progress of Insight. Oh, I dropped my promise.
Your Vanna White thing. You know, like how they do
Progress
in
of
game
Insight?
shows. I think the joke was Misty.
And no, Chris got it.
Chris got it?
Okay, and this is the manual for checking your Vipassana Kammatthana progress.
What's not included here are the 2 volumes of the Sanskrit English dictionary and the book on the Abhidhamma, and it's 7 volumes.
I'm surprised you didn't bring those over.
I forgot.
You forgot
But they're
those.
coming tomorrow. So.
They're coming. Okay.
All right. So this is a kind of a subtle point that's kind of a big point that's not really mentioned that we're now going to mention, which is that Buddha Dharma is a study of mind. It's a study of consciousness. It's not really a religion. So if you think about it, there is no religion that has this kind of scientific analysis of how consciousness works anywhere in it, except Buddhism. Islam doesn't do it. Christianity doesn't do it. Shamanism definitely doesn't do it, right? Zen doesn't really do it, right? So this study of mind is the key and the heart of what Buddha Dharma is about. So that's the Abhidhamma Pitaka.
Right, and it's so fascinating that this was done. Well, it shows how powerful our mind is as an instrument, because they discovered all of these things or learned all of these things before modern scientific instruments existed. I heard recently somebody called it, somebody talked about how science is discovering, for example, that meditation works. Right, and somebody said, gosh, what is this, like a Columbus complex or something? You know, they discovered that meditation works. You know, people have known this for thousands of years.
All right. So here, for the next 2 weeks, and there, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be using the Progress of Insight, 7 Stages of Purification by the Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, who is the foremost insight teacher in Burma.
He was also in charge of the most recent recitation of the Buddhist teachings. So back to what Sensei was saying before, they still get together and recite all of the Buddhist teachings
by memory.
by memory. And in Myanmar, we visited the site where that took place. They have a
and they do it every
memorial.
50 years, every 100 years, every 150 years.
Gosh, I don't remember.
I think it's every 150
Do you remember,
years.
Richard?
No.
Okay.
Remember the place.
All right. So these 7 stages of purification, called the Sata, awareness, the Sudi, purification, mirrors the Acharya Buddhaghosa's Visuddhimagga, which is Visuddhi, purification, and Magga, path. So these books contain the same things. These books are for people who have more time.
The thicker books are for people
This book is for people who
leisure.
has less time. We consider 2 weeks like a minimum amount of time. The Visuddhimagga, as you can see, has been looked at a little bit, right? It takes a few years to go through.
I'm not sure they can see that over there.
Sorry.
Here. That's insight for busy people, right? Since it's covered in tape and it has all these bookmarks and it's been well used. That's what he's referring to. And I was asking Richard about if he remembered, because Richard has spent a fair bit of time in Myanmar with Sayadaw U Tilawanta.
Now, these 2 Visuddhimaggas and the Progress of Insight and the Wheel of Independent Origination and any number of different subjects are all contained within a basket called the Abhidhamma Pitaka, of which that book, along with the dictionaries, will show up tomorrow. Okay? Not that we're going to be using them, but we just like to impress you. Okay. Now, on working through the 7 stages of purification, which we do in order, right? Although quick. We also run into stages of insight or knowledges. So it's a bit confusing because there's purification knowledges and then there's stages of insight knowledges. So the word gets used twice.
So 7 stages of purification
Contain within those 7 stages, 16 stages of insight, which we will be elucidating as we go forward.
right. So it's like a
Map.
circle within a circle,
Right.
right? This 7 stages of purification contain the 16 stages of insight.
The whole point of this is that these stages or steps lead to what is called realization or liberation or awakening or nibbana or transcendence, Christ consciousness, Buddha nature, cosmic consciousness, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a transit, it's a road, it's a map, it's a transition from a conditioned human being called a pathugena, basically clump of sticky dough, rooted in conditioning and greed, hatred, and delusion and all that stuff, through the process of clearing up how the mind is seen and works in terms of these patternings, in order to create a threshold, a trampoline, from which you bounce eventually high enough into a different quantum level of energy. If you want to look at it that way, it's a different quantum state. So I don't know if you know much about quantum mechanics, but Planck's constant says that in order to go from one orbit into another orbit, the energy threshold has to jump. It's called Planck's constant. So if you want, you can say a human being is here. There's a quantum jump that has to happen in energy in order for a human being to live here in this called transcendent state. And so the path is to give you enough bounce to give you enough energy to make that quantum leap,
Right.
otherwise called awakening.
Right. So the 7 stages of purification are quite literal, because the reason we can't make the leap is because we're weighed down by primitive views and conflicting emotions. So those need to be purified. They're purified in 7 stages. And when that's done, the organism is optimized, I guess we could say, to experience spiritual liberation.
Another metaphor you could use is kind of a caterpillar, human being, butterfly, awakened being. So we go through this kind of our version of that chrysalis. Is that the right word?
Chrysalis.
Chrysalis. We kind of go through that same process. Now, every human being can do this, more or less. More or less every human being can do this. There are probably some situations like maybe Down syndrome that can't. But anyway, almost every human being can go there.
Was it Rinpoche who said that the difference between an unawakened...
The Buddha.
It was the Buddha, who said the difference between an unawakened being and a awakened being...
Oh, that's Rinpoche.
...is like the difference between
Bonobo
bonobo
and a human.
and a human.
It's a different order of species. It's a different species. And you are the potential, you have within you the potential to make that lineage change, which is why the moment before awakening is called change of lineage. You're no longer really a human being.
Or you're something else.
You may look like one,
Human.
you may talk like one, you might act like one, but you're not. It's a different kettle of fish. So when they say pure,
Human, what's that called when it's plus alpha or something?
sure.
Okay. Thanks for being flexible.
Plus alpha. Anyway, when they talk about purification, they're meaning nirvana. They're not meaning that your feet are dirty or that you had sex on Sunday, right? That's not the subject here, right? The subject is that your consciousness has changed its platform. All right. Now the approach we're following is basically
Bare insight.
bare insight.
B-A-R-E.
Yeah. Not
Not to
B-E-A-R.
B-E-A-R. No.
Right.
Sorry, can't take that shortcut.
Another way to say bare insight is just seeing or pure perception, seeing without a veil, seeing without an agenda of the ego in front of it, like its desires and its aversions and its attachments and all that stuff. You're just seeing things the way they are.
And when we see that, what do we see? Wow.
What do we see? These are called the marks of existence, and they're the hallmark of Buddhist philosophy, and they're also the hallmark of the realization of an awakened one. And an awakened one, whether he's a Buddhist, a Christian, an agnostic, a shaman, will have the same understanding, even though he uses a different language. And what are those three characteristics? One, impermanence. I mean serious impermanence. Not just kind of impermanence like I'm going to die or my tooth are going to fall out at some point, but this moment is impermanent. It's gone. That moment, it's gone forever. So what are you hanging on to? This is huge when it comes to nibbana. This is huge because you are trying to hang on to something. Your career, your job, your family.
Your sense of you.
Your sense of you.
Your image. Youth.
Gone.
You name it.
Yep. So is the path of
Your
awakening,
honey.
your honey, is the path of awakening difficult? Yes, very, to the ego. But to that which is not ego, it's freedom. You can finally say free. What else?
Okay. What else do we see? We see that all formations are struggle.
If there's form, there's struggle. If there's form, there's struggle. So the entire platform for your practice is going to be the dialogue between nama and rupa. Rupa means form. Nama means mind. The mind interacting with the form and the form interacting with the mind is the entire foundation of the whole of the insight practice.
So true.
Forms come, forms go. Any place there's a form, there's a mind. Wherever that dialogue is, there's a struggle. There's a dance, if you like. If you prefer, dance. There's a back and forward, a want and a not want, an approach and a push.
Okay, so the third thing that we see is the lack of an intrinsic identity.
In anything, anywhere. A mountain doesn't have an intrinsic identity as a mountain. Show me a mountain. And all you're going to see are rocks. Show me a rock. And all you're going to see are
Minerals.
minerals. Show me a mineral. And all you're going to see is
Adam.
atoms. Show me an atom. And all you're going to see is space. And show me a space. And what does it mean to talk about an identity?
That's right. Do we want to mention the fourth mark of existence?
Yeah, we probably should.
Okay. The fourth mark of existence is a little more positive. It's nibbana, nirvana,
Is bliss.
bliss.
The only place you're going to find bliss that is sustainable, generative in modern language, is in spaciousness. That's the only place. You can find it in coffee or baklava, but there's gone. Then you got to poop. You're not as enamored of the baklava on the way out as you were on the way in. So the spaciousness is the ultimate bliss.
Okay. So this approach of bare attention dispenses with, does not work with the jhanas, the different levels of absorption.
Not interested in jhana, it's a distraction in this case.
Okay. So
We're not interested in samadhi and how you're feeling and how happy you are, how happy or sad you are. What we want to know is, where do you get caught?
Right. So it's a good time to practice impermanence and non-clinging, because the bliss will arise and we'll be so tempted to go into it and enjoy the bliss, but that's a different retreat.
And if the bliss
We're
does
on
arise,
about insight because we are Obi-Wan Kenobi or something.
that's right, Yoda, right? So bliss might arise and your tendency is going to be just to wallow, right? Or just to kind of, oh, bliss, yeah. Right? But that's not what you're interested in here. What you're interested in is watching the mind that notices bliss. When did it come? Is it going? What's holding it up? What is it in relationship to body? How's the pattern of the mind
Right.
working?
What is it exactly that feels blissful?
So no mantras, no visualizations, no blissy pursuits,
No.
like looking at birds or whatever. So, ergo, all formations are impermanent. Purification is taught by, in this case, purification is taught by insight alone. Purification meaning awakening. Awakening is taught by insight alone. Ergo, all formations are impermanent. And when you see and understand this, you turn away from what is ill. When we say ill, we don't mean bad. We mean just that which is not going to satisfy. When you truly see how impermanent things are, you turn away from taking refuge in the impermanent object. Doesn't mean you're not having it, doesn't mean you don't enjoy it, doesn't mean you don't experience it, just means you don't take refuge in it. Key point.
Key point.
When you see that clearly and in depth,
I'm sorry.
this is the path to purity.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's all right.
That was really great delivery.
You like
And I
that?
interrupted it. Yeah.
Oh,
Can you hold that thought?
you want me to do it again?
I do, yeah. But
Okay.
first I want to say, does everybody know what we mean when we talk about refuge? Yeah?
Yes.
Kind of, sort of? Okay. What can we say about refuge to make it really crystal clear?
The only refuge there is in the mind of emptiness. Spacious, clear, radiant luminescence. And refuge in relationship, money, career, your life, your health, your family, your job, anything, that's dukkha. That's suffering. Because it's going to only sort of going to work somehow, some of the time, occasionally. Sometimes it'd be great. Most of the time you're going to be old right? And eventually you're going to have to leave it all behind, right? There's no refuge there. But the mind of clear, radiant, blissful spaciousness, you can take from here to the grave and beyond.
That's right. I think every morning you take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I believe. And the reason we do that, that's called the triple gem, is because that is where we learn about emptiness. That's where we learn how to practice emptiness. Those are the supporting conditions for dwelling in emptiness.
Yeah. So,
and so sometimes we say we take refuge in the triple gem, and really what that means is we're taking refuge in awakening, in the awakening mind, which is in essence emptiness, because everything's impermanent. So all that's left is radiant spaciousness.
and
Nothing to hang on to.
Yep. And Christian said it too. Don't put your refuge in false gods, meaning things of the ego, right? So this idea of the path to purity isn't like purity, like a good Christian not having sex on Sunday or whatever, right? The path to purity is the ability to sit and dwell and move and shift and work from and behave in that spacious, clear emptiness every moment of every day, from whenever you can get there or work your way there continuously. Nothing ever interrupts it for any reason ever. Not your death of your mother, not the birth of your child, not the death of your child. Nothing interrupts it, because there's no place to find solace outside it. Okay, and that's the path to purity. So this is a silent retreat. You want to divide your day into 6-hour sections. 6 hours walking, not all at one time. 6 hours sitting, not all at one time. 6 hours standing, and 6 hours lying down. These are the 4 postures that the Buddha taught: sitting, standing, walking, and lying down.
So you want to divide practice sessions into ratios. We recommend doing 60 minutes of sitting, 40 minutes of walking, and 20 minutes of standing.
You don't have to sit on the floor. You can sit in a chair, but if you sit in a chair, try to keep your back straight and away from the back of the chair. So the key thing here is straight spine. Most important part of the practice for insight is as straight as you can with the spine, as often and as much as you can, because that's where the energy body rides. The energy body rides in the physical body on the spinal energies. So you're a worm, holes at both ends, right? So you want to keep that worm straight as much as you can. If your back gets sore and you get tired, fine, lie down. You're still straight.
Right, yeah. So straight without being rigid, because it's important to feel comfortable. And for some of us, it's about developing a new kind of musculature. So have patience with yourself.
Also, all the conditioning is held in the body. All the programming from your parents and family and your conditions is held in the body. So all these little muscular tensions and little things, traumas, little traumatas from diaper training or whatever it was, to not eating with your fork or something, are all locked in the system physically. So in order for the body to allow itself to release, and this is fundamentally a body meditation, in order for the body to release and allow your body to release, it needs to know where its standard is. So that straight, independent spine is your standard, by which then everything else happens. All the stuff that's gone on in your world is going to happen around that spine. But if you have the supported spine, the system doesn't know how to liberate it. It's like kind of a blocked hose or something. So good, straight back, no cushy chairs.
Right. When water goes through a hose, the hose straightens, right, quite naturally. I'm concerned that your glasses might be rubbing your microphone, and your mic is now kind of
Can you guys hear me
against
okay?
your shirt.
Oh,
Sensei
we're
sound
good?
is okay? Okay, good.
Okay,
Never mind then.
all right. So, open chest, loose shoulders, loose pelvis, loose hands, loose feet, loose jaw.
And back to what Sensei was saying, it's quite normal to have different knots and physical pains and so on, and that is part of the process as our body releases these different blockages that are held in the body. So if you're experiencing that, that doesn't mean you're necessarily doing anything wrong. So just have patience with it and try to find ways to be able to sit with that.
Yeah, the body's going to go through all sorts of changes and stuff, but that's your practice.
Part of the
Okay,
deal.
head straight ahead. So try not to droop, try not to get that droopy head. Try also to, this is the depressed pose. This is the hysteric pose. So try to keep the head more or less level. Eyes straight ahead. Your visual focus is about 3 feet in front of your eyes. So it might be easier to face a wall so you're not looking at a lot of stuff if you're sitting. And relax your eyes. Don't get into a staring contest.
Right. Sometimes it's called soft gaze, or if you can also work on developing your eye muscles so that you're focusing on a point this far in front of you.
A little bit more, just arms,
A little more than that?
arm's length and a
And a little
couple
bit
of
more.
hands. Okay.
Oh, I've been doing it wrong all these years.
Oh, well.
You've
I
been
don't
doing
think
it.
it's super, super important. Anyway, just do your best you can with that. That's good.
So
Obviously, no texting, no surfing, no emails, no telephone calls, no emails,
how about social media, Sensei?
no social media,
Just checking.
no complaining. Anyway, and then have fun. This is just you watching the mind. This is like the infinite movie. This is the never-ending movie that you wanted the series to continue forever and ever. You remember those episodes? You wanted that whatever to keep going, episode 560. This is your mind. This is the episode you want to keep going.
Babylon Berlin.
Babylon Berlin, one of our favorites.
Okay, and it is endlessly fascinating what the body and the mind do. Who knew that we were so weird?
Fluctuating
It's
in a
amazing.
moment. From the sublime to the ridiculous. Or from the ridiculous to the sublime.
Yeah,
in
who knew
seconds.
that we were so amazing?
Really?
Right?
Awesome.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's an incredible journey. Okay, so whatever arises.
This is the only
is-
mantra you get, by the way.
Right, you
and
only
you-
get one.
And you only get to use it when you have to use it.
This is not me. This is not mine. This is not who I am.
No matter what arises. This is not me. This is not mine. This is not who I am. This is patterning. This is programming that I call me. Don't make the mistake of the programming being you, because there is no you. There's only the programming. There's only the patterning.
Okay, after a few days, after everyone silas in, cools down, cools out, then we'll have some interview opportunities.
Classes are 9 a.m. Mountain every day except Wednesday. There may be an occasional day when the class goes to a different time, and we'll tell you that the day before. If those days occur, it'll probably be a Monday or a Friday. It might be an afternoon class. But we'll let you know. Group sits. I don't know. Are you online people going to try to attend the group sits, or are you going to do it on your own schedule? Well, if you're in your own time zone, you can set them to match our time, if you're really gambate, if you're really fierce, you can join them on our schedule. But it doesn't matter. You can do it on your own. What time are your group sits? Hmm?
11 a.m.
11 a.m.
3
3
p.m.
p.m.
11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Mountain. You can either match those here. You'll be on camera.
Yes.
Is that right? They will be on camera. So you can sit with these people here in the room. You guys can't see them right now. Maybe we just get to show everybody the people. Here are your fellow meditators. Say hi to each other. Hi, fellow meditators. Okay, cool. So they'll be meditating at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Mountain. You can join them or you can do it in your own time zone if you find it just too weird.
And then we'll have a sit and question and answers
At,
at 7:30 each
Mountain.
night
and
with either Sensei or I,
or maybe both.
or maybe both of us.
And that will involve a question and answer session.
That will be recorded. Too.
That will also be recorded. Okay, the meditation itself is body-based. There's only one thing to do for the next 2 weeks is watch the rise and the fall of your abdomen. How simple can it be? What's happening? Breathing in, the belly rises. Breathing out, the belly falls. Does anybody breathe the opposite way? Does anybody breathe in and have the belly contract and breathe out in the ball?
I think when I first started watching my abdomen, that I thought it was the opposite.
Everybody, every conditioned being usually starts reversed. If you do yoga or you do martial arts or you learn to meditate, you realize you've been breathing inversed. So anyway, put your
That's
hand.
amazing.
Yeah,
Wow, that's kind of a mind bender, isn't it?
it is.
How is that possible even?
So put your hand on your belly. Take a breath in. It should lift,
Like puff out.
puff out, swell. And when you breathe out, it should drop. Good? We're all good? Okay, that's all you're doing.
But lower, David.
Yeah,
Yeah,
down
that's right.
below
Like
the belly button.
below the belly button. Right. And I practiced for a while and I had to lay down because I couldn't discern the rise and fall. And so I would lay down on my back and go to get it in the correct order, I guess. So just so if you're struggling with it, that's part of the process too. That's quite normal.
They also teach this in martial arts. That if you don't breathe that way, they teach you to breathe that way. Because you're oxygenating the bloodstream. All right, the Satipatthana is a sutta, which I think many of you know from our previous online course in
February, was it?
January, February, is a foundation for this as well. Basically paying attention in terms of body, feeling, states, and contents. So just a kind of a measure of, oh, this is mental, or this is a feeling, this is a sensation, right? But we'll talk about that later. So we just start with a brief rise and fall meditation now. And we'll send you to bed or to your day, depending on where you are, after a short, just a 5-minute little rise and fall meditation to get you started. Yes.
So when we talk about bare perception or pure perception, the idea is that things are definitely going to come up, whether they're feelings or thoughts or sensations, you know, my leg's asleep, and we just let them subside of their own accord. And if we pay attention to them, they'll go longer. And if we don't pay attention to them, they'll pass away naturally.
Now,
So we don't need to kind of get rid of them. That usually makes them come back stronger.
now, one of the definitions of the word karma is chaitana. Now, karma is the law of cause and effect. And chaitana means will or decision. So you are going to have to exercise your will during this retreat. And how you exercise your will during this retreat is you don't indulge the emotion, you don't indulge the thought, You don't indulge anything except
Breath.
rising, falling. Stuff is going to come up, yes. Let it go through. Don't hang on to it. Don't fight with it. Don't talk to it. Don't debate it. Don't discuss it. Drop it back to
Breath.
rise and fall. Okay? So can somebody, yes,
Can I do prostrations during the retreat?
no. You can do a little bit of stretching, but we don't want any other practice. And if you're a big yoga person, don't do a big yoga session. Just do enough exercise to stretch it out, loosen the body. Don't turn it into a different kind of meditation, which will take you into samatha where we're not going. Okay? So a few to loosen up maybe. Okay? Somebody got a watch? Or
Yeah.
a clock or something? You give me 8 minutes. Okay. Straight spine. Drop the shoulders back. Open the chest. If you have pants on or anything tight around your waist, undo those pants when you're sitting. We want nothing tight around the abdomen. Right now, it's maybe not so important, but when you're sitting, don't have anything constricting your belly. Loose, drop the belly, eyes straight ahead. You can have your eyes open or closed or in between. Focus about 5 feet. Relax your jaw. Relax your pelvis. Loosen your hands. Loosen your eyes and breathe. Rise of the belly and fall of the belly. Rise and fall. Try not to wiggle around too much, but don't tie yourself into a straitjacket either. Try to just be relaxed and natural. Okay. If you are entering into your daylight time, I guess that might be, is that Peter? Is it just Peter? Or, yeah, I think so. So Peter, in your walking practice, you've done walking meditation before, so I think you know what to do. You're at home, so if you do walk, just try to walk the same route all the time, up and down the street or wherever you're doing it. And try not to wander when you walk, right? Like have a fixed route that you do. And we'll talk to the rest of you tomorrow.
Peter's in kind of a public space, right? So would he still be doing the rise and the fall and the placing
Or
of
walking.
each foot and only going, how many paces is it? And then
17.
turning 17 and
No,
then turning around and going back?
I think for people like Peter who are in the city, you just get yourself a block or something, some equivalent, and you just walk up and down the block. You don't want to draw too much attention to yourself. Don't, at this point, don't do the lifting, moving, placing part of the walking practice. Just walk mindfully. Keep your mind in the soles of your feet. So if you're doing walking meditation in a city, just you're going up and down one block, that's all you're doing, or whatever. Just keep your feet, your mind in this, keep your attention in the soles of your feet when you're walking. Okay?
And that would be for 40 minutes.
And that would be for 40 minutes, yeah. And standing, again, if you're when you're doing the standing practice, your attention is just in the soles of the feet. Okay?
20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Iris wrote a question there. She says, do we name the thought or just simply drop it after it's raised?
You just want to notice it. So you don't particularly have to name it, but you want to notice that it's happening. So if I have a thought about food, I don't have to say I'm having a thought about food. You just are aware that thought about food is arising. You don't need that extra layer. And then as soon as you note it, you go back to rise and follow the breath. You don't go any farther with it. I mean, it will run on you and you won't catch them all the time. But as soon as you catch it, back to the rise and follow the breath. Cool, good. Is that it? Any questions? See you tomorrow. May these wholesome and powerful activities eliminate negativity and ignorance while producing happiness and illumination for the uplifting of the world. All right. Good night and good morning.
Good night and good luck and good morning and good evening.